So, I'm not per se late. I purposely waited a bit of time. I got a message saying that my background check was good. I knew it would be, but that a manager would be in contact with me soon, if not had already done that. So I waited. It's been a good 40 minutes after I got the message, like, well, a little more than 40 minutes after I got the message, and so it's like, okay, I guess it's not gonna happen today. But if it does, there's not really a, well, okay, I think I can mute myself, but I'll be on, I might have to take a phone call. Okay, so wish me luck. I was like, I didn't want to start a stream and then, like, midstream have a phone call and whatnot, so it was just like, you know. But, you know, if they do call, I'll definitely have to. Yeah, so, late for a reason, for a good reason. Priorities. Yes, I was watching YouTube while I was waiting for the phone call, but priorities. Anyways, yeah, I'm trying to think of, oh, I did start the, that, alien game. It reminds me of Warframe, only you can't slide and jump and do all the cool stuff in Warframe. You just have a gun. And, you have to, like, Aliens, the, new Aliens game they had for free for PlayStation Plus members for the month of November in 2023. I don't know when you're watching this. But, PlayStation does monthly games, and that was one of the free ones. So, yeah. Fun times. How much, oh, yeah, we do have a nice bit. I'll chew off this, this bit going down, and then, yeah, it's bothering me too. Give me a second. Okay. And then, I'll see how much track I can make with this, and then try to, lay some track down. Yes, I am playing another game while I'm doing this. My attention span is not limited to that of a goldfish, and believe it or not, goldfish do, remember. I'm speaking from experience. I had a friend who was a goldfish. Was super glad to see me come back from school when I was younger, and it was, I couldn't tell the sex of it, so it had a unisex name, and no, it wasn't Goldie. I think I called it Puffs because of its puffy cheeks. It was one of those goldfish that you win in a fair for like $1. You get this ping pong ball, and then you I won like 3 of them. So yeah, it was interesting. I was only allowed to keep one. My sister was allowed to keep one. Not one of the ones I won, but one she won. because after the, no, you can only keep one, and the guy was like, well, you know, I'll take him back, or you can, you know, choose someone else to have one, and I gave 2 random people a goldfish. Hopefully it was the right thing to do. I mean, their parents were there, and they said it was great. I got the little, I guess, a little achievement saying, like, oh, yeah, you're a nice person. I mean, our fish tank was big enough to hold all 3 of them, but I was told I could only have 1. I picked this, it was hard. It was hard to choose between all 3 of them. It was like I just met them. But, I felt bad. I kept worrying about the other 2. I was like, I hope that they, you know, they had a nice, life. I mean, anything's better than being sat in a cooler and, like, a bunch of bags of other fish on top of you, right? But let me swap to that. But I named it Puffs, and I didn't know whether it was male or female, so he wasn't a Mr. or Mrs. Puffs. Oh, dude, that's weird. There's a cartoon character named Mrs. Puffs in SpongeBob. I mean, this was way before SpongeBob, though. I mean, she was like, well, It's interesting how things work out like that, but, I couldn't tell whether my fishy friend was a male or a female, so it was just Puffs. And I call it Puffy and Puffs, and I was like, how's my favorite friend, Puffy? And, like, you know, it's adorable. It was one of those, calico looking like ones with the big poofy cheeks, and then the long flowing, what is that called? Tail and fins? Like, I'm not sure what the actual breed of goldfish was, but, I was super excited every time I came home, and I'd sit there, I'd read them bedtime stories, and yes, I read to my fishies. I love my fishies. I actually had like this little white albino frog that had these little things next to its, yeah, I found out that the little frogs, they don't normally, you know, have those, and I was like, wow, it was like some sort of abnormality to it. So whenever it died, I named it Beavis, because, you know, Beavis and Butthead, but I just thought Beavis was a really cool name, and, so I named it Beavis. And Beavis would come up, and I would have these little bloodworms, and I'd put them next to the, like, I'd have it, like, kind of dipped in there, and he'd come up and he'd eat the little bloodworms, and, it's pretty damn fantastic. My sister had, like, a little brown and white speckled frog that was, like, aquatic, too. Like, these were, like, full-on aquatic frogs. They couldn't live above, the water's edge. But Beavis ended up dying because Ivory's goldfish kept pestering it and ended up stressing it out till it died. And I cried when I saw that not only my frog was this much smaller than it was before, but it didn't have those little gill things that were that abnormality of it, and I was like, you're lying, that's not Beavis, and like, George was like, yeah, it is. You know, don't be crazy. You know, you're being crazy. You know, stop rejecting your frog. You love your frog. And I was like, yeah, I love my frog. Where is he? And I mean, he couldn't pull one over on me for anything. That I knew what my frog looked like, and I was very livid, and I yelled at my sister, and I wished that her goldfish would die because it was a murderer, and it ended up dying, but I didn't do it, and then I got blamed for it. I really didn't mean it, honestly. I know the goldfish was just doing mean things because it was stressed and bored, and no one really paid any attention to it, and it was acting up. I mean, I didn't give it the right to kill my frog, but you know, her goldfish was aggressive. Mine wasn't. Mine was sit there and chill. Most of the time, it would just, you know, kind of lay towards the bottom, and then whenever I came over to interact, it would, you know, swim up, and it's like, oh hey, and it's all up against the glass where I am, and I was like, yeah, I got another like story from the library. I flipping load our like little library. They had pop-up books, they had all kind of things, and I could take up to 5 books, and I sit there and I read all like 2 to 3 of them before I was like had to go get cleaned up for, you know, tomorrow, school and whatnot. I love school. It was fantastic. I didn't always like the people, but you know, actually learning and whatnot, was fantastic. Yeah, some little kids can be really mean and cruel. Pick on you. I mean, they have weird reasons as to why they pick on you, too. Either you're too smart, or you're too small, or you're, you like the library. You're always in the library, so they have to bother you about that. And it's like, dude. It's like the library's, you know, wasn't like super big, but it was like the library's a big place. You know, you could sit anywhere. But sit down, like, what are you doing, bookworm? You're not. I'm not gonna get back into that. I'll get a little antsy. But anyways, little kids can be mean sometimes. All right, I need to set some of this down. Alright, oh, I do have more wood. Nice. After I'm done with this, I was talking about my fish and then I went into some other stuff. But yeah, that goldfish actually lived about 5 years. We were told that it was only gonna last like a year and whatnot, but it lived. It had the will to live, and it was spoiled rotten with education and the love of a little girl, you know. Hey. I remember the tropical, like, well, it wasn't quite tropical fish flakes, but it was like a semblance of it. They were called Tetra flakes back then, and then Tetra flakes ended up being like regular flakes, and then tropical flakes, and then tropical flakes with shrimp and whatnot. But it's interesting how dog foods have evolved. You know, cat foods have evolved, as well as you know, fish food. It's like they have more of a variety now. I'm kind of happy about that. It's like, you know, sitting there thinking like, wow, you know, you're not giving your animal enough of what it needs just because it's just this bland crap. they have to sit there and suffer through. Of course they're gonna wanna beg for scraps. I don't want to get into the whole horror show of like what they used to put. Well, some companies actually still do that, but I don't want to ruin anybody's thing. Okay, get the natural kind of dog food, and make sure you read the labels, and not a lot of wheat and corn. Just, you know. Make sure it doesn't have, for those familiar with Fallout, strange meat.